Your brand may be staying on top of current trends, but are you agile enough to stay relevant, resilient, and successful as customers, competition, and the world continues to change at a breakneck pace? I'm thrilled to share the newly revised version of my first book, The Agile Brand. I'm calling it The Agile Brand Revisited. It's been updated to reflect our continually changing world, and it provides 7 principles that form the backbone of an agile brand, offering detailed insights and actionable steps for incorporating them into your business strategy. This is the book that started it all, and I'm excited to share it with you. It's now available in print and digital formats and available everywhere. Learn more by going to the Agile Brand Guide website at www.agilebrandguide.com. Welcome to Season 4 of The Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom, where we discuss business agility through customer experience, employee experience, and digital transformation. I'm your host, Greg Kihlstrom. The Agile World podcast is brought to you by TEKsystems, an industry leader in full-stack technology services, talent services, and real-world application. For more information, go to teksystems.com. To read more about the topics discussed on this show, you can go to my website at gregkihlstrom.com and read my latest articles or get a copy of my latest book, Meaningful Measurement of the Customer Experience, now available on Amazon and other retailers. My name is Greg Kihlstrom, and I'm the host of the Agile Brand podcast. While there's a lot of talk about the importance of customer experience and employee experience, both of these become even more valuable when we consider a third component, business experience. Today, we're going to talk about the relationship between customer experience, employee experience, and business experience. To help me discuss this topic, I'd like to welcome Leon Gilbert, Senior Vice President and General Manager at Unisys Digital Workplace Services. Leon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Greg. Great to talk to you.
Yeah, looking forward to talking about this with you. Why don't we start by you giving a little background on yourself as well as your current role at Unisys?
Yeah, sure. So I joined Unisys just a year ago. February 1 of 2021. Been an amazing ride over the last 12 months. We've acquired 2 organizations, rebuilt a leadership team, built a brand new value proposition for our clients, and really, transformed Unisys as a digital workplace leader, which has been fantastic. Prior to that, I've been in the IT outsourcing industry for probably 10 years. Prior to that, I worked at Atos, where I ran their global digital workplace business, and then before that, worked at a professional services organization. But I think if I think about my career, it was really split in two: the IT outsourcing business for the last 12 years, and then the first part of my career was really in the business to consumer world. So very much kind of very, very similar roles, but really consumer in that kind of support model. So I love everything about what I do, where this industry is headed, and really enjoy helping our clients solve problems, and especially around experience, which has become such a big play over the last kind of 4 or 5 years, and I really see us as Unisys really trying to lead in this space. So it's a wonderful industry to work in. We have some wonderful clients, and I'm really excited about the future of digital workplace. With the pandemic accelerating lots of things that would have taken the industry many, many years to get to, we're now seeing CIOs, CTOs, and heads of experience now come all to the table and request not just the regular, I want an IT service. I want something that comes with true experience, and we at Unisys are now able to meet those demands and those requests from our clients. So, it's really, really exciting. Personally, I'm based in the US, so I moved out here just over 10 years ago. Prior to that, I worked in and lived in various organizations and companies around in the UK, which is where I was born, and that's kind of a bit of my history, Greg.
Great. Well, yeah, no, looking forward to talking about this, and I totally agree with you. There's a lot of movement in the space that you're working in, and which I think is not only very exciting but offers a lot of opportunity. So let's start by talking about what we mean by business experience, and then we can get into how it relates to CX and EX. So why don't you start there, and just define what does business experience mean to you?
When I think about business experience, in a very, very simple terms, it's the reason why an organization, a company exists. So, for the example that I would want to kind of walk through, the desired business experience for a pharmaceutical might be something like, let's safely create and sell new drugs to make, profit whilst beating all the major competition to the market. When the when a farmer achieves this, the company has that great business experience, and obviously the shareholders do as well. But to really achieve this desired experience, the company has to implement several key business initiatives, and that's where and as an example of those sort of things, to set up, and create new drugs, they may have to go and acquire a small startup. They may have to collaborate with educational facilities such as a university on R&D, or may have to partner with a large hospital to perform clinical trials. So I think whether it's in the pharmaceutical industry or whether it's in any other type of industry, banking, manufacturing, retail, hospitality, etc., um, every organization has a desire for that true business experience, and to provide unique kind of business initiatives. But I think if you then start to link the business experience to the employee experience, that is when you will get true customer experience.
Yeah, and so I guess maybe the an inverse way of looking at it too. It's what are companies missing that might be focused on CX and EX improvements, but what are they missing when they're not thinking about business experience?
I don't think it's that companies aren't addressing their business experience. The problem I see is when companies kind of proceed with business initiatives, they sometimes go in without taking into account their employees' experience as those kind of key things are rolled out.
Yeah.
So if we go back to the example I kind of gave a little bit earlier around the pharmaceutical, we talked about that desired state being, to quickly develop, and sell drugs, to make a profit. Um, so if you think about that, they've acquired a startup company, to do drug development, but if they're failing to take into account the experience of those new employees upon that acquisition, and their whole onboarding into their organization, they'll find, after 6 months, half of those people have either left the organization or, are just not happy in what the role they're doing.
Yeah.
So the acquisition will have failed. And if they kick off the R&D with a, private university or whatever, but, they fail to take into account communication, collaboration, to facilitate the joint R&D, that will lead to kind of poor experience, poor collaboration. It's really about trying to join those dots together, and really focus, to me, on the employees, right? So it's absolutely essential that there is a key focus on the employees. So, and I think then trying to connect those dots, Greg, to customer experience, that that's ultimately the key thing. If you get the BX and the EX wrong, the CX just doesn't work. Your BX, as in your business experience, and your EX as the employee experience, if both of those are correct, the CX becomes, an outcome of those two working together in perfect harmony.
What about measurement? So, is measurement of business experience, is that closely tied with EX and CX? Are there other things to keep in mind as well?
I mean, clearly, all businesses have their measurements that they will go with, whether that's revenue or
Right.
profitability, employee CSAT within their organization. All organizations look at that. I think in the space that I'm working in, and which I think is a wonderful area, is what I'm finding in my space specifically is that you see that organizations are measuring the wrong thing. I think the days of the kind of IT organization being able to pat itself on the back and say, "Hey, we have green service levels. The phone is being answered on time,
Right.
etc." Those days have gone. That's not what people are really looking for. And as an employee, what you want is that great experience when you have a problem or when you need to request something. And for me, that the measurements, and this is what we're doing with the clients, but what I'm seeing in the industry as well is those measurements have to be around the experience, or what is now termed in the industry experience level agreements, or XLAs, because that is truly measuring the happiness of the employees. And uh, whereas we answered a phone call in X period of time is not a
Right.
measure I think that people really care about. In my own personal life, if it if I call up and I need something in my own personal life, if it takes somebody 30 seconds or 50 seconds to answer the call, I don't really mind. What I always remember is, what was that experience? How did it make me feel? And
Yeah.
were they able to solve my problem? And I was able to go on about my day-to-day activities. So I think that's, forget, yes, all of the metrics around revenue, profitability are clearly very crucial to any business, but for its employees, to provide that, for them to be happy, their experience, their organization has to feel good, because there is choice. This is the talent right now are looking for organizations that look after them and care for them, and IT, as in my case, should never be a detriment or an issue for how uh, people can achieve what they need to achieve in their roles.
Well, you touched on the importance of employee experience in this, but creating successful employee experience requires several components. So let's talk about a few of these. First, uh, change, right? So most organizations are undergoing at least some type of change, whether that's the shift everyone or most had to go through from in office to hybrid or remote, larger transformation efforts, or other shifts in their respective industries. How do you recommend approaching leadership in times of change? Since successful change really requires alignment of leadership as well as leaderships that are open to the change themselves.
I think it's an absolutely fantastic question, because you can have all the technology in the world, you can have all the greatest strategies in the world, but if you're not thinking about what I would term organizational change management,
Yeah.
these scenarios can fall apart, and especially around adult learning. We as adults, have, um, you know, we, you know, we all learn at a different speed. We all learn a different way. We all want to consume things differently. And I think what's incredibly important as organizations think about organizational change management is to give choice to the employees, but also realize that not one size fits all. And it's very important that employee A and employee B have a different way of they'll have a different way of learning and different way of understanding and different technical capability or a different whatever capability. But I think it's incredibly important that uh, all major programs really focus on organizational change management. And there are many methodologies to this, but what I've seen in this industry, what is absolutely crucial is um, executive sponsorship. So it always needs to have that key level of executive sponsorship to help drive it. We don't just in business life just suddenly all decide to do something differently the following day.
Right.
Technology can be there as an enabler, but unless we know about it, we don't necessarily use it. We assume people can just do things, and I think that that's where organizational change management helps bridge that assumption to actually turn it into reality of uh, any type of implementation being successful. So
Yeah.
absolutely crucial.
When employees are able to see and articulate the value their work and role brings to the organization, they're often more engaged as well. I think you were kind of touching on
Mm.
that too. I think this is made more effective when they have a line of sight between their role and the end customer. So, kind of bringing that customer experience component back in. Do you agree with that? And what are some ways that leaders and managers can help enable this to happen?
Yeah, I think I firstly totally agree with you. Um, I think it's incredibly important that people see their value in any organization, and that isn't just that could be done through many ways, where including remuneration, but it's not just limited to that. I
Right.
think people need to feel that they they can make a difference. I think that is the key thing. Everyone likes to. There's nothing better than making a difference in somebody's day. And that's just part of human nature. I think many people wanna. Nobody goes into work to be destructive or to really think, you know, I, to really think I don't want to be here. I think
Right.
people want to work to achieve something, and like anything, people want to work for a growing organization or team that's winning. And I think if people can see the value in their roles, that's the most crucial thing in how they're helping and assisting the business or organization they're working for to achieve its goals, whether financial or whatever, in really kind of helping. I think everyone just wants to feel that they make a difference, and that is so crucial. I think back to my first role many years ago. I was taking calls from people who wanted to have their cable TV channels upgraded, or they were calling about billing problems. This is many years ago
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
career, but I can still think about when people were like, just said thank you, that's really good, you've helped me. And that gave you a warm feeling that you're able to make a difference to someone. And that for me is, I think, what a lot of people are really want to see the value in what they do.
And how about technology's role? Certainly, this is an area you and Unisys work a lot in. How is technology's role in improving the employee experience going to evolve over the coming months and years?
Yes, great question. I think technology is clearly an enabler for the experience of employees in organizations. Uh, it, it, it If I think about the area I work in, so in what I would term end user experience, end user services, everything that we do touches an employee of an organization. And I think if I look at where the part of the industry in IT I work in was 10 years ago, I would hear things like the helpless desk or whatever, the help desk that can't answer any calls. It's a complete waste of time trying to get anything done. But now, if I think about where this type of organization is, and these it's vastly different. It's that switch from the reactive, I've got a call to get a problem fixed, to the proactive, actually IT's letting me know on my screen that they found a problem on my PC, and they've remediated it. What's great to me there is that I didn't even I didn't know I had a problem on my PC, and but somebody has proactively reached out and told me not only did I have a problem, but they fixed it, and that perception changed from I've got to call help desk because I've got a problem, and to actually things are being fixed without me even knowing. Really, I think is that's where technology can be that enabler. Now, clearly, in any business, there are three key things: there's process, people, and technology. And technology in that mix is growing, but I think technology is evolving to shift from react. It has evolved to shift from reactive to proactive, and I think that is a huge leap forward, and a very 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 positive leap forward for us.
You recently wrote about the importance of organizational change management. We talked about this a little bit at the top of the show, but you recently wrote about this in change management and transformation initiatives that are often part of improving both EX and CX. What are some change management principles that leadership should keep in mind while undergoing a transformation?
Yeah, I mean, I think back to your question a couple of questions ago, I think the first key one is executive sponsorship,
Yeah.
essential for everything. I think the second one is to ensure that communications are multi-channel, not just one route, or multi-channel because different people consume communications in different ways. Don't just send a PDF out whenever you're doing something and say we have this new thing and you have to go and make 55 updates on your machine, or just expect people to do it. I think the second, as I said, the second key thing for me is that multi-channel approach, and then I think the third thing is tracking. So is tracking the implementation of that change in the sense of how successful it's been, and the whole piece around the reporting of that, and then it's being able to adjust from there and say what was the success, failure, and where did it work well, where didn't it, and learn those lessons. And as you're going through that program, adjust as quickly as possible on the fly. There's always going to be some things that go wrong, but I think you have to be agile in any type of change management, and recognize if you make a mistake, there are different ways to do things. There are other options. So it's be quick, be agile, be nimble. Don't just kind of assume the one size fits all and everything's going to work, because it never, in my case, it never what I see is the case. And back to the whole sponsorship, I think if the sponsor is truly engaged and helping drive, it makes a significant difference. And I think what's key in all of that sponsorship is the why and the value. If people understand the why and they understand the value, then they're much much more likely to adapt and change, than if it's just kind of we're doing something. I think it's incredibly important that the value is called out in any change management.
So we've been talking a lot about relationships between the different types of experience and things. How would you characterize the relationship between customer experience and employee experience? Should leaders look at these as a direct, maybe one-to-one relationship where they affect each other equally, or is it something else?
I think customer experience comes from the combination of the employee experience and the business experience. I think that to me they're a multiplier. So your business experience times your employee experience gives you that customer experience. I think that's crucial. If I think about successful businesses that I potentially consume services from, the ones that stick in my mind are companies that have doubled down on the employee experience, and really that has then driven the amazing customer experience. They have a great business model. It's part of the BX or the business experience. They've really focused on their employees for the employee experience, and that has generated a fantastic customer experience. And I think there are some great success stories out there in the world around that. And and there are also examples of organizations where if they failed on one, they fail on the last one as well. So for me, there's some great success stories that people look at day in day out and think, how do we replicate what they do?
Yeah, I like that formula there. The BX times EX equals CX. I think that's great. Well, one last question before we wrap up here. What advice would you give to leaders that are listening to this and want to learn a little bit more about this, BX, EX, CX relationship?
For me, the key bit of advice is employees today have choice. They have choice of where they want to work, how they want to work, and when. And I think it's incredibly important that the people who really drive the strategy of the BX really understand that the business experience can be one thing and the business strategy can be one thing, but the importance of looking after employees in this kind of in the 21st century, I think it's absolutely crucial. And I think that's where they should focus, and it's where we focus, where I focus every day on ensuring that my employees' experience is good, but also obviously the clients we support, their employees' experience of the consumption of IT is good. And I think together that really gives you that third element. So I think really focus on your employees, your talent, and really start to listen to what's being said, and look for signs of where potentially things aren't going well, and take quick action. I think the days of just assumptions that people will stay in organizations for 20-25 years are gone.
Yeah.
And our relationship with employees is absolutely crucial now in this new world, especially now we're in this hybrid world where geographic boundaries have almost been eroded. Thus, meaning if you happen to live in a city that doesn't necessarily have a huge labor market, you were very much restricted in the past. But now, any country, any city, you can in effect go and work for any company. And so that's why the importance of looking after your employees has become even more critical, as the kind of local, regional, national boundaries have been eliminated through all the whole new hybrid world that we're now living in.
Well, Leon, thanks so much for joining the show. For those listening, what's the best way for them to keep up with you and what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, for me and to keep up on what Unisys is doing, it would really be to visit our website, which is www.unisys.com, our LinkedIn page, and for me, to keeping up on what I do, I also have a LinkedIn page that I always post, any articles or any kind of thoughts that I have around this whole space. So. Greg, I really thank you for the opportunity to talk to you, and it's been a great discussion today.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks so much. Well, again, I'd like to thank Leon Gilbert, Senior Vice President and General Manager at Unisys Digital Workplace Services, for joining the show. Thanks for listening to the Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom. Talk with you next week. Thanks again for listening to the Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom podcast, brought to you by Tech Systems. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to subscribe on your podcast channel of choice and leave us a rating so that others can find the show more easily. You can access more episodes of the show at www.theagilebrand.show. To get a copy of my latest book, Meaningful Measurement of the Customer Experience, visit my website at gregkihlstrom.com. Until next week, stay agile.